Hey Violas, Mrs. Lawrence here, and I'm working on the fourth etude in the McKinney-Boyd Viola Etude unit. This is number 47. And I'm gonna show you a couple of things and then we'll dissect it just a little bit. So the first thing is I'm gonna tell you, put your measure numbers in, people. It's just so much easier to speak to you about specific spots if you put your measure numbers in. So pause it and take the time to do that, please. The same thing while you're doing that, put a bow direction in on the beginning of every line. They don't have any bow directions in this at all. It's one measure to a bow, so that makes it quick and easy, but if you just wanna start in different sections, you're gonna be like counting down, up, down, up, down, up. Just go ahead and put it down the side of the page. Couple of things, you're in the key of D minor, you have one flat, it's B flat, so it looks like F major, but it's gonna be in D minor. And there's a chunk of major, you're gonna hear it sound major starting at 35 and stopping at 51. At 51, the recap comes back again. So be aware of that. And I'm gonna hold this up to the screen so you can see, I put in the measure numbers, I put in some bow directions, and I also highlighted in pink when my hand has to move someplace. We did that earlier on a couple of other etudes. So mark those so that you can see where I need to move my hand. All right, so let me hold that up for just a second. You can pause it, zoom in. There you go, cool. And a couple of other things and then we'll play a few spots. The first spot is the shifting. Let me talk about the shifting again. That's the main focus. If you look at the top of the page, shifting is right there, number one. I would almost say it's not so much the moving back and forth because you're really just moving between first and third. It's playing in tune once you get there, all right? Because there's a lot of high ones and things like that, just altered positions, lots of like tiny half steps where they're all crushed together. You saw that on measure 7 if you saw my markings in the music. So I would say that shifting / intonation once you're up there is really, really important. So you can play a large amount of this in first position, but don't do that, okay? That's the point of the exercise, is the shifting. Look really quickly for me at measure 5. You'll notice in measure 5, it's in third position. You'll see that C sharp near the end of the bar. That's a high 1. And then 2 notes later, at the beginning of measure 6, you have to play a regular 1 on the tape. So be aware of that kind of stuff. The C sharp canceled out, that's fine. But the relative note right across the string, you've got to move that 1 back onto the tape. So it's little things like that that you have to catch. The other part that I'm going to suggest you add is look at measure 36 and measure 44. The downbeat of both of those measures, I just went ahead and put an X4 harmonic. I think it sounds good. I think it's appropriate for this etude. You do towards the end, 2 bars from the end, you see a harmonic right there. So just put a little stretch, X4 right there, and hit the harmonic on those guys. And finally, this piece, to sound, you have to really work hard to sound decent on your C string up in third position. That takes a bit of work. So you might have to experiment with things like bow weight, bow speed, bow area, you know, where you're sitting on the string and that kind of stuff. You'll have to experiment a little bit with that to see what sounds really good on your instrument. I'm playing with a mute today on here because it seems to pick up a little bit better on the recording and stuff, so we're gonna keep that going on. I'm gonna play a few spots for you so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. I'm gonna play the first like 12 bars for you so you can kind of hear what's happening right there. The goal is quarter note equals 90. We're just gonna kind of give us the idea of it, and then I'm gonna turn it off because your directors want you to play without it. So here we go. Totally doable, a nice moderato tempo. So here we go. I'm gonna play the first 12 bars and then I'm gonna tell you the other chunk I'm gonna play for you. Ready, and. And then that specific D right there on the C string brings back the theme again. So I love that little C sharp to D in measure 7 to 8. It's just really yummy. So I took a little bit of time right there to make sure my C string was really speaking. The other place I want to play for you is measure 33 through 43. We're gonna cover that retard right there and the a tempo. So there's a nice little spot where it says RIT, so if you can circle that, and then circle the a tempo 2 bars later, you're gonna be kind of hanging out the end of that minor key, and then the a tempo is sending you into the major key. So it sounds really nice. I'm stopping after the first iteration on 43 because right at 43 it starts doing the same statement again, or very similar. So let me play that for you. This is measure 33, and I'm going to be stopping on 43. Here we go. You're in third position when you start this section. Ready? And. Hear that part, that note I just landed on, that you're kind of home again, I guess, and it's sending you back into the same spot that you did just a second ago with that harmonic. Hopefully you got to hear that pretty clearly. And that's just about it. There's kind of a funny spot I'm going to point out to you really quickly. It's measure 57, so it's that last line. They want you to kind of do an odd little jog with your bow and shift down to half position so you can get the C sharp. It's kind of unusual. So I'm going to play that for you, but I'm going to play it with separate bows, just measure 57, and I'll stop on the first note of 58. So on 57, you're in third position for that D, and I'm going to play slow separate bows. So the weird part is the fact that I'm sitting on the G, and then I play the open D over here, and then I come back to first position on the G string, and then half position. So there's a lot of things going on within the very short span of time right there. I think the funniest part is that fact that they wanted you to jump over and grab that D. It's almost like they wanted to make sure you weren't falling asleep through the rest of the etude. Make sure you're still paying attention and see if you catch that fingering at the end. When you play those chords, it's really important to think of like divided, sort of almost a 2 and 2 sort of thing. So I like to think of the first chord to be the bottom. So you think of the bottom, then the top, glue them together. And then do the same thing on that bottom. You have to bar across the 2 strings on the bottom, and then you add the top. So that's a great way to practice it, is to divide it, kind of divide and conquer. And it sounds better rather than just trying to grab all 4 strings at once. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Okay, this was a really cool sounding etude. I didn't play the entire thing for you, but hopefully I gave you some helpful hints. And again, go back to that screenshot that I gave you earlier, and you can look at all the fingerings I marked. Again, practice it in first position, but promise me you're not going to stay there, because that's against the rules. You need to make sure that you follow the fingerings that are here, because as soon as you start playing it in first position, X, I'm not listening to the rest of it. So make sure that you follow directions here and enjoy it. Make it sound as beautiful and as luscious as you can. So Violas, have a great week, and thank you for letting me do this for you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.